Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're gonna fundamentally change the way you view, manage, and ultimately build your wealth. You know, even for those of us who follow the markets closely and really get the basics of capital, it is so incredibly easy to lose sight of the underlying mechanics of how the system actually works on a personal level. So today, we're stripping away all that noise to unlock those core mechanics. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Most people spend 40 years working for money, but never spend 40 minutes learning how money actually works. Man, that is a striking thought, isn't it? It perfectly highlights the absolute absurdity of dedicating our entire adult lives to accumulating capital while largely just ignoring the fundamental mechanics of the system itself. We specialize so heavily in our careers to earn, but we rarely apply that same rigorous analysis to our own financial structure. Well, that changes right now. To kick things off, here is our simple, structured roadmap for the explainer today. First up, the truth about money. Then, we'll look at the concept that money is frozen time. Next, we'll explore the macro framework of earn, spend, and grow. After that, we'll break down the 5 financial pillars. And finally, we'll wrap things up with finding the financial gap. All right, Section 1, the truth about money. So there's this massive conception out there that true financial optimization is incredibly complicated. Like, you need complex algorithms or some heavy background in high finance to get it right. But honestly, the reality is way more about behavioral framing. It's all about the stark contrast between passive tracking and active capital allocation. Just wondering where your money went is basically operating without a system. Sure, you might be earning more every single year, but you aren't efficiently capturing any of that value. Telling your money where to go, on the other hand, puts you firmly in the driver's seat. It's a strategic system that totally replaces guesswork with deliberate, intentional building. Moving right along to Section 2, money is frozen time. This is a total paradigm shift. To truly master capital allocation, I think it really helps to take a quick look back at history. Long before modern currency, humans obviously relied on the barter system. But barter suffers from what's called the double coincidence of wants. Think about it. Trading wheat for shoes only works if the shoemaker actually happens to want your wheat. It's incredibly clunky and inefficient. So money was invented to solve that exact bottleneck. Acting as the ultimate universal middleman, it provided a medium of exchange, a super reliable store of value, and a standard unit of account. It literally solved the ultimate trading friction. So the crucial point is this. Money is frozen time and energy. It's simply a tool that lets you trade your past effort for things you're going to need later. When you really internalize this definition, it fundamentally reframes your capital. Dollars aren't just digits sitting on a screen in a portfolio. No, they literally represent the hours, the strategic effort, and the actual energy of your life that you've banked for future deployment. Pretty wild to think about it that way, right? Okay, let's jump into Section 3, earn, spend, and grow. This is our macro framework. Managing your capital effectively really boils down to 3 core steps. 1, how you earn it. 2, how you spend it. And 3, how you grow it. Now, the common pitfall here is that a vast majority of our focus goes purely into step 1. We optimize our careers, we negotiate equity, we hustle to scale our earning potential. But high earnings absolutely do not automatically translate to wealth if you ignore the rest of the equation. True, lasting wealth is built by those who master and balance all 3 aspects of this macro framework. We've got to stop treating money as something just to spend and really start treating it as something to direct. Our whole environment is optimized for continuous consumption, right? Which means every standard purchase is a direct trade-off against future compounding. Breaking that cycle of reflexive spending and shifting your mindset toward conscious direction, I'm telling you, it completely alters your financial trajectory. Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 4, the 5 financial pillars. This is where we master money. So, if earn, spend, grow is your macro strategy, these 5 pillars are your micro blueprint for actual operational execution. 1, income. 2, budgeting. 3, saving. 4, investing. And 5, debt management. Mastering these 5 pillars as one unified, holistic system, that is exactly how you master the game of money. It's absolutely crucial to strategically reframe those middle pillars. Take budgeting, for example. It should never be viewed as a constraint, but rather as pure intention. It is the tactical allocation of your resources. And then there's saving, specifically maintaining a solid 3 to 6 month buffer. This isn't just about hoarding cash for the fun of it. It acts as a strategic moat around your life. It's the ultimate safety net that protects your larger investments from having to be liquidated prematurely when inevitable market or just life volatility hits. But relying solely on savings is a seriously flawed strategy. Traditional savings accounts are subject to the constant, invisible headwind of inflation, which steadily erodes your purchasing power over time. Investing is the absolute strategic requirement to outpace that erosion. It is the core mechanism by which you put your frozen time to work, allowing your capital to systematically generate even more capital. Which brings us to Section 5, Finding the Financial Gap. This is all about taking action today. Right here is where the theory turns into actual execution. First, know your total income. Second, write down and track all of your expenses. And third, find the gap. The concept is incredibly profound. That gap, the margin between what you actually produce and what you consume, is the primary lever for your wealth creation. Literally, that gap is the exact space where your financial future lives and breathes. Let's look at a really practical opportunity cost here. Say you identify a gap of $1,000. Well, you have a choice on how to deploy that capital. You can spend that grand on a depreciating gadget today. Sure, you get immediate utility, but poof, the capital is gone. Or you can choose to give that money the specific job of compounding. You invest that $1,000 at an 8% historical return, and you just leave it alone for 20 years. And this brilliantly illustrates the raw math of lost opportunity. $4,660. When you make that immediate purchase, you aren't just spending $1,000 today. You are actively trading away the $4,660 that your frozen time would have naturally compounded into. Listen, capital doesn't scale by accident. It scales because you deliberately gave it a job to do. So the golden rule is this: give every single dollar a job. If you have capital in that gap, whatever you do, do not let it sit idle. Assign it a task. It can protect you in a liquidity buffer, it can grow for you in equities, or it can work for you by generating yield. Even if you're only assigning a job to, say, 10% of your income, deliberate capital allocation is a massive step, a real strategic imperative for taking absolute control of your financial architecture. Before we wrap up, consider this. The very next time money comes in, before you spend a single cent, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what job am I giving this dollar? If you don't know the answer, well, that value is likely about to just dissipate. But if you do, you instantly transition from a passive consumer into the active architect of your own wealth. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really look forward to seeing how you leverage these mechanics.